Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. Now, we are, of course, heading into the final season of The Flash with its ninth season, and I think most of us would have, a few ideas, a few little brainstorming moments of our own that we would want to see on screen in this final season, whether that be in regards to, overall storylines, minor storylines, things to do with the Flash as a character, like his powers or something. And then, of course, just returning characters in general. And seeing it is the final season of the show, you would expect there to be some, familiar faces showing up again from previous seasons, whether it was from 2 seasons ago or maybe even right towards the beginning. The big question around all of that is, well, who exactly will these familiar faces be? Well, we have one actor at the moment who has raised, or one new actor at the very least, who has raised their hand to possibly come back for the final season, which I saw as a bit of a surprising one, considering their exit from the show in years gone by was a bit rough, and opens up your mind as to who else could possibly make a surprising return if they are available when they end up filming the final season. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what character from the past you would like to see show up in the final season of The Flash. Just one character you'd like, as well as your general opinions on what we go over in this video as well. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, I want to show you support, looking forward to any of this stuff, why drop a like on the video to do all that. But quickly, before we get into the main part of the video, I do have just a minor announcement in regards to a series that's not new, but is coming back, and that's the return of the Flashback reviews. Now, I didn't think I was going to come back and do that series. I thought it was like a COVID thing. Like, for those that don't remember, it was sort of brought up because of COVID, because there was not only nothing to watch for you guys at home, there was like no new shows or movies coming out because everything just sort of stopped, but also just to sort of add some stuff to the channel. And I wasn't going to bring it back, but I thought, you know what? We'll bring it back in the lead up to the final season, The Flash. I'm not sure how regular the episodes will be uploaded because I've only got like a select amount of episodes I actually wanted to do, but I'm aiming to get the first return episode of that out within the next week or so. I know people enjoyed it when we did it. If you don't want to watch them, you don't have to watch them, but I know the people that did watch them enjoyed them, so keep your eyes out for that. As I said, aiming within like the next week or so for that first return episode at the very least to be out. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that if you're interested. But anyway, to the main meat and potatoes of the video. So Patty Spivot was, of course, a character that we were introduced to back in the early parts of season 2, who built up, quite the relationship with Barry. But shortly after, I think it was just after the halfway point of season 2, she just left the show with some minor mentions after that point to her character, with the only like minor chance of something relating to her possibly coming up again on the show being when I think it was Ralph and Barry went to Midway City in like season 5 or 6, I think it was, which is where Patty went to after leaving Central City. So I was like, okay, well, if they're going there, then maybe they go to Patty Spivot, for some help. But yeah, nothing came of that. So season 2, shortly after the halfway point, that was the last time we saw her and really, for the most part, heard from her. But upon the announcement of season 9 of The Flash being the final season, someone did tweet that they would want to get Chantel Van Senten, who is the actress who played Patty, back as Patty for for The Flash in its final season. And she did quote the tweet and saying, "That would be a dream, hashtag Patty Spivot," you can see it on screen right now, and then tagging the actual Flash account. Now, the reason this has surprised me is because Chantel did do an interview, I want to say maybe last year or in 2020. I can't remember specifically when it was. I can't remember if it was for The Boys, because she was in The Boys, but I can't remember if the interview was for The Boys or for something else she was doing. But the question on why she left The Flash, or like the circumstances around leaving The Flash, came up, and she pretty much said that she was not meant to leave on the show when she was. She was pushed out the door by one of the by the person in charge of the show at the time, who I guess really wasn't a fan of her. We don't know if it was anything personal. I don't think she really dived into too much detail, but it was it was a bit of a dodgy exit. Like, she wasn't meant to leave when she was. She was signed on for more episodes, but she was pushed out the door early. And us as the fans were like, oh, that was a bit weird. Like, when it happened on the actual show, felt like she left all of a sudden. And that explains why, because it wasn't really built up that way, at least for that episode, for her to leave. Now, of course, she didn't name a name, but it was pretty obvious it was Andrew Kreisberg, because she said that the person who did it had nothing to do with like any of the shows or DC stuff anymore, which is Andrew Kreisberg, who's the only one that was sort of kicked off. And without going into too much details, because it'd probably get the video demonetized, I don't know, Andrew Kreisberg was sort of like let go from all the shows for some dodgy stuff he was doing behind the scenes. But yeah, because of that, I didn't know if she'd actually want to come back to the show. Might bring back some bad memories. But she's only ever really talked positively about the show outside of like that sort of instance whenever she's been asked about it. So it's not like she hates Grant or any of the other cast and stuff like that. So I guess there's no real barriers preventing her from, wanting to show up again. But it does make you wonder, like, she's been gone since season 2. So how could you bring back, Patty Spivot into the show for just an episode? Because I don't think you'd bring her back for like a recurring role. Like you'd bring her back for like a guest role in one episode. And I think Chantel's on like 1 or 2 shows. So she's she's got a pretty busy schedule. So I think she'd only be allowed to do one episode if possible. So how would you bring her back? Well, as I said, she did leave Central City to go to Midway City, and she went there to study to be a CSI, like how Barry was. Because you got to remember, in season 2, she wasn't a CSI; she was just a cop. She was just a police officer. She wasn't a forensic officer like Barry is. So maybe after all these years, she's a fully certified forensic scientist, but maybe she is like working at Midway City Police Department, like in the forensics department, or maybe she's working in another city, maybe Coast City, wherever it might be, and she comes to Central City to investigate a case, running into Barry again, or maybe it's vice versa, Barry going to whatever city that she is coincidentally in as well, and they bump into each other because Barry's got to work with that city's forensic department as well. So it could be one of those like situations. Now, of course, between Barry and Patty, you wouldn't do anything romantic like you did in season 2 for obvious reasons. Barry's married with Iris. It's just a no-go, you know what I mean? But Barry and Patty always had great chemistry in season 2, so I think you could still do that on like a sort of like a friendship sort of level. But also because of the way that Patty's departure was in season 2, Barry and Patty left on weird terms. It felt a bit rushed. So it would be good for closure as well for them to have like an episode, amongst each other. And also you got to remember, if they're both CSIs, you could have a fun, CSI forensic focused episode. That'd be pretty cool as well. Bit of a murder mystery mixed with science, and maybe some good Flash fun as well in there as well. Maybe a metahuman, whatever might be going on. Sounds good to me. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch. But Patty was a one season. Well, she wasn't even there for the whole season. Like just over half a season, she was a character there on the show. So is there any like other single season characters that you could bring back that aren't villains? And the only one I could think of is Julian Albert, and I'm mainly thinking of characters that people would want to see on screen again. And the only person I could think of was Julian Albert, like someone that was there for just one season, made a mark, but didn't return for a second season. He's the only one I could think that could come back. And like Tom Felton and Grant Gustin remained friends after the show. Like he went to Grant's wedding, so I think he would be open for it if his schedule is available. I know he'd be expensive to get, but if it's for one episode, I mean, I'm sure they'd have some fun with it if they could possibly do it. So I don't know necessarily what the episode you could do with Julian Albert would be, but I'd love to see him back because he was apparently meant to be in season 4, but then it got sort of washed away, and I think that's why we got Ralph, because Julian wasn't there. But anyway, I'd love to see Julian Albert come back for an episode. But he is the only one I can really think of in regards to a single season character that wasn't a villain. But of course, there is a bunch of characters that were in like 2 or more seasons that have left the show that could return and, be in an episode or 2 as well. You got the various versions of the Harrison Wells, Timeless Wells potentially, even if they want to do like Jesse Quick or Wally West or whatever it is. There's a bunch there you could play with as well. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they do in regards to guest characters in this final season. And in regards to how they use them, like, are they going to bring back characters for focused episodes similar to what like Arrow did with its final season? But that also fold into the main story of the final season or what's going on at that particular point. We don't know if they're doing graphic novels or not. That's still a question mark. But it makes you curious as to how they're going to handle bringing back guest characters, because I think Arrow did them pretty damn well. And I think I think Eric Wallace with the Flash should look at how Arrow did it for a bit, or did it for the most part, and then fold it into what they want to do with the Flash. Like, it depends how they want to handle off the cliffhanger from last season and playing it into this final season, whether they want to do it at the end or they want to do it at the beginning, because I don't know if they do it for the entire season. So if they want to plan that for the back half, maybe the first like half of the season is these sort of like fun return character filled episodes, and then it plays off into that really story based stuff towards the end. I don't know how they're going to balance it, so wait and find out. But of course, it wouldn't work with every character, just fan favorites. I think fan favorites are the ones you have to focus on. I don't think people care about some like random, one-off, villain of the week coming back, unless they were fun, but if they were just random to begin with, then I think people are really going to care, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're like literally at I think pretty much the 4-week mark, I think, away from the Flash going back to filming. So not too long until they probably make more announcements in regards to possibly who's playing the villain or villains for this final season, if they are new characters, and I guess more specifically new actors, but also even people coming back. You gotta remember when Arrow was heading into its final season, you started to hear more and more and more and more names get announced in regards to who was going to be showing up and everything like that, because they wanted to create some excitement around it. The only difference is that like the Flash is premiering later, like we're waiting until the beginning of next year. So there's a bigger gap, I think, in like from the time they're filming like the opening episodes of the season to when they're premiering, compared to what happened with the final season of Arrow. So we'll wait and find out. I'm sure they'll let us know when they want to, because I think they'll try and create excitement around it. But yeah, let's wait and see, as we usually do say. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions about everything we went over. I'm always curious to read what you guys are thinking, especially in regards to, would you want to see Pagey back, and which other characters would you like to see, like a Julian Albert or something like that. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.